Hello, everyone. We are your landlords, flooding out and tapping out so that you don't have to with the occasional screw. My name is Graham, go by Hamhocks42 on the internet, and as always, I'm joined by Astralsflame. Astrals, how's it going, man?
It's going good, bud. It's Friday. We're relaxing, and boy, howdy, do we have an announcement. But before the announcement, how you doing, bud? How was your week?
I'm doing well, man. It's been busy. It's been busy. To give you an idea, yesterday I decided to take a nap after my stream.
Snap.
One of those where it's like, yeah, I'll just close my eyes for maybe an hour, maybe two, and like it'll be luxurious. Next thing I know, I'm waking up 5 hours later. Like, holy cow! Like it was, but you know what? I'm a firm believer that when your body gives you those kind of cues and it demands that kind of thing, you just got to give it to it. You just take the time, recover. Always worth it. So I feel great today because I did that. But yeah, yeah. So
I
rock
th-
on, man.
we had a word for that though in our last recording, didn't we not? A person who likes to sleep or not started with an S.
Sonambulator, I
Yes, you
believe
you
was
went
his.
to
Yes,
somnambulate. Yes,
I was indeed sonambulating. Yes, and
you're
it
a
was important, and I'm
somnambulate.
glad I did. Yes, you sometimes got to sonambulate. I see no problem with
Yes,
this.
quite so.
Indeed. Indeed. Yeah. Well, actually, here I have with the coffee mug. It's not quite the same as with the dainty teacup, but yeah.
Avec classe.
Sonambulating. Anyway, it's actually just quite awkward because it's like one of those 16-ounce ones. It's like, this is very cumbersome. In any event,
But it works though. It works.
but yes. So we're not here to talk about highfalutin language, although I will because it's fun. But we're gonna kind of discuss a new format that is coming to Arena. So Wizards this past week announced it was a very heavy news week for Magic, which is fun. We're not going to cover every single thing that got announced this week, but there is one topic that they released the article at like the exact same time as a banned and restricted announcement. And as a result, it's very easy for it to kind of fly under the radar. They're like, "Oh, don't worry, it's fine. This is just a thing." They're going to be bringing out a brand new format for Arena. So yeah, if you haven't heard about this, Timeless is going to be coming to Magic the Gathering Arena. And Astros, I don't know about you, but I'm pretty excited for it.
I,
What are your thoughts on this thing?
I'm indifferent about it. So
Okay.
I love the approach. So timeless is like vintage. It's every card legal on Arena, legal in the format. It has a restricted list because channel and necropotence are a thing. With that too, every card that has been
Yeah.
rebalanced will be back to its true to paper copy, and alchemy cards were legal. I'm a big fan of eternal formats. I am a lover of legacy. I've not delved into vintage, but however, I'm sure if my wallet could sustain it, I probably would. Um,
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
but I like the premise. I'm indifferent because I just don't know how I feel about the alchemy cards. I'm not going to stick on that note because that's a whole other thing. But I will say I am happy to see Wizards of the Coast embracing this format and introducing it. I think the concept of it is great, and that makes me excited.
Yeah. I'm inclined to agree. And it's funny. I think you and I are probably in of kind of a like mind on this because I'm excited that it is going to exist. And I think it's going to get a whole lot of people invested in Arena again in a way that they weren't before. And I am going to dabble. I'm going to have a couple of decks. I'm going to try it, but I fully expect that the play patterns that will become kind of the norm and the meta in Timeless are going to be play patterns that I don't enjoy. The idea of an environment where you can turn one combo kill somebody where they have no recourse whatsoever. Granted, it doesn't happen all the time. Like I know
Mhm.
whenever I used to use that talking point to describe vintage or legacy, everybody like or not everybody, a lot of people would like stop and be like, "Okay, have you ever played it? Because that doesn't happen as often as you think." It's like, okay, fine. Like I get that it's not maybe it's not ubiquitous, but it's not going to be impossible. It's going to be a thing that might happen in that format. Whereas in other formats, it's just strictly impossible. There is no way to do it. And the idea of having my opponent freaking channel Ulamog me on like turn one or turn two, like that sounds miserable. I'm not gonna lie. And they did the historic no ban list events over the past few weeks, clearly as kind of a testing grounds for this idea to see if people would be invested in it. And as someone who I did the channel Ulamog thing a couple of times in those no ban list events. And man, the first like time or two you do it, it's a lot of fun. It is. I got to be honest. There's something about dropping a 10 drop on turn 2, you feel like $1,000,000. You really do. But when your opponent hits you with it, it's like, oh, I might as well not have shown up today. Like, oh, I genuinely didn't get to play this game. Like, there was nothing happening here. And in Timeless, I think people will get an opportunity to find a lot of those angles because some of the most powerful cards in the entire game have been introduced as promos in the Mystical Archive, in the Enchanted Tales, in a couple of these other formats, these kind of bonus sheets that they've injected onto the client. And as a result, you're going to be going up against some of the strongest, fastest, nastiest cards that that the game has ever seen. And so we're at a point where we're going to be able to, emulate Legacy and Vintage on Arena practically, but we don't have things like Force of Will.
Yeah, that's kind of
So,
that's a point of
mhm.
indifference for me as well. Like I know I didn't touch on it, but we had briefly talked on it. Like not having an answer to stuff that can be done at instant speed, I find is a slight deterrent or negative impact of that format. It's great to do powerful things, but powerful things need to be checked and balanced. And as strong
Mhm.
as Force of Will is, it is one of those checks and balances. Frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if after the induction of Timeless, we suddenly see, oh, we've introduced a new card because of Timeless anthologies.
Yeah. Or they might call it a historic anthology or whatever, but yeah, they're going to do stuff like that. Exactly. I'm sure of it. Yeah. Yeah. I'd be shocked if they don't, because this format, I mean, we have access to Dark Ritual, we have access to Channel, we have access to Mishra's Bauble. There's what are some other, there are a handful of ones where I remember looking at them as they were spoiled, be like, why is this coming to Arena? Lightning Bolt, Ragavan.
Yeah.
There's a lot of real bangers on the client. And all of a sudden in this format, the vast majority of these. So there are 3 cards that will be starting on the restricted list. And so in that case, you're only allowed to have one of each of these cards in your deck, but the rest of like every other card on the entire client, go nuts. And the cards on the restricted list, it is the funny thing is, you mentioned Necropotence. Necro's actually not on the restricted list. It's Demonic Tutor, Channel, and Tybalt's Trickery
Ah,
are
that
the
does
3 that are, yeah.
that makes sense though. I can certainly see trickery because that just gets stupid in those
It gets
formats.
really stupid real fast, yeah.
I'm surprised about Necro. I'm actually
Yeah,
surprised about that. But
Necro and Dark Ritual will be 4 of legal. Yep.
well, Dark Ritual I think makes sense. Like that's a 4 of a
Totally. Yeah, yeah.
legacy. Like you need that.
Yeah. No, no, I'm
Hmm.
not mad at that. Dark Ritual's a 4 of in Pauper,
I mean, this is
which
true.
is wild.
Actually, yeah.
Yeah.
So, kind of on that idea of like restricted cards and surprise,
Mhm.
going into Timeless and knowing have so you experienced the no ban list, and I'm just
Mhm.
trying to phrase my question right. You experienced the no ban list historic. You know what the restricted list is going to be. Based on that, what is your first interpretation of Timeless you expect to see matches to go? And what I mean is that how do you think the matches are going to be? Are they going to be quick or are they going to be long? And will people be surprised by what they'll run into?
That's a great question. I think the matches are going to be um they're either going to be very very quick or very very long. I highly doubt we're going to see mid-ranged matches at all. I think what you're going to see is you're going to see a lot of people trying to go for turn 1 or turn 2 combo kills, and you're going to see people using hard control methods like Chalice of the Void. There's a million like 1-drop counter spells. Like Spell Pierce all of a sudden went from a card that was pretty good and maybe I should run it in my sideboard to holy crap, I need 4 of these immediately. So that's kind of a no-brainer. I think you're going to see a lot of people doing control in this format. Blood Moon is also going to be available, so that's a whole thing. It'll be interesting to see if those kind of decks can hang. But I think you're going to see slow control, and those games are going to take a very long time. And then you're going to see like hard fast combo kills, and I think there's not going to be much in between. I'll be very surprised if like a decent aggro deck can be a thing. I'm probably going to try to do some kind of variant of red deck wins, with Ragavans and Lightning Bolts and some of that stuff to see, because Soulscar Mage DRC, they're all available. Like, there's got to be something with those, right? I don't know. Eidolon as well Eidolon of the Great Revel is in the format as well. So I don't know. I'm probably going to attempt something like that because I have a feeling that's the closest you're going to get to, an aggressive deck in that format. But we'll see how it goes. In general, I suspect the games will be pretty quick. In the historic no ban event, um, things were stupid fast. That was my experience. In those events, though, there were also you were allowed to have 4 copies of channel, and
Oh,
that was the thing that I discovered. Whoever got channel first won every time, like without a shadow of a doubt. It absolutely happened. And I think the same is true because of all these incredibly busted cards, that one stands head and shoulders above everything else. It allows you to cheat on the mana system in a way that nothing else, aside from maybe Fast Bond, has ever let you
that's
do
fair.
in Magic. And that's another one that they'll never reprint again for good reason. Um, so I don't know. It's one of those where as long as that card is legal, there will be some games where the opponent just rips that and it's over. And then you have to have the spell pierce or the miscast or the thought seize or something to just prevent that from going off. If you don't have that, you're screwed. I fully expect those games will happen. Fortunately, channel's restricted, so it won't happen all the time. And building an entire deck full of like big dummy Eldrazi in the hopes that you get the channel the one time is not likely to happen. And I think that's also probably why Demonic Tutor was restricted right away. Because if you could demonic tutor into your channel, okay, you're gonna have to settle for an Ulamog on turn 3. Oh dang.
Oh
Like,
no.
oh no. Or if you have the Dark Ritual in your hand, turn 2. Oh darn, whatever will we do? Yeah, it's like so obviously incredibly powerful stuff is gonna be happening, and it's gonna be incredibly fast. I think it's gonna be shockingly fast. And even those control matchups is like if somebody does, Dark Ritual into a Chalice on 1, and like 60% of the cards in your entire deck just won't work now, then all of a sudden it's going to be really easy to look at that board state and just identify like, you know what, you got it, and just leave. you know and like in those moments you just identify that, okay, I cannot win this now, so concede. So even then, like, yeah, that game would take a long time for your life total to actually reach 0, but what's going to happen, and maybe you have an answer in your sideboard, maybe you don't, but even then that is a quick game in the end. So yeah, but how
Agreed
about
on
you?
that.
What are your thoughts on what the play in Timeless is going to feel like?
I think it's going to be very much like you described. I expect two mediums. It's either very fast or very long. That's how Legacy is. It's either very fast or very long. There is no in between. But I do think we'll see some aggro strategies. But aggro in eternal formats is usually very different than like how we
Mhm.
interpret, right? Like even Pioneer aggro and like standard aggro altogether, but like Explorer aggro, those decks differ very much from like what a Legacy or Vintage aggro deck is. I think going in, I'm gonna be curious at the amount of people that actually consider running removal. Because you don't run removal in Legacy, and I mean that in the weirdest way. You don't like usually main deck like go for the throats or fatal pushes in Legacy. That's certain decks will bring in interactions in different ways. Again, like the Force of Will type of stuff. But there's just not like this creature type of removal. Like if I'm playing red deck Prison, which can be a deck we'll probably see in Timeless, where Blood Moon comes down, your fetch lands and other lands are mountains, and you got nothing else. That deck in Legacy plays a route like a Goblin Rabble Master, and the Rabble Master just carries the game because the opponent cannot interact with it. So
I love it.
I have a
Yeah.
feeling we're gonna see the format evolve from removal heavy into an adaptation of to what vintage and legacy are, and people come to respect that sticking a 2-2 is sometimes just good enough.
Well, I mean, I think it's no surprise that Delver of Secrets, is a card that sees a ton of play and is considered phenomenal in older formats. Whereas it's funny because it's standard legal right now
Yeah,
and has been for like 2 years. And when was the last time you saw somebody resolve a Delver in standard? I mean, it's not that it never happens, but it's kind of like, yeah, it's an option. It's fine, I guess. like,
3 months ago.
right? I feel like I went up against a mono blue player who had Delver, but it was like game 3 when they stuck a
Yeah,
Delver for the first time, and I was like, wait, you're running Delver in there? Interesting. yeah,
yeah,
it
it's
just
like
was kind of
over in
it's
this
fine,
economy.
right? But in older formats, just a 3 power flyer.
It's the game.
Have fun, Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
like like you mentioned with Darcy, like Dragon Rage Channeler just closes a game, and we were gonna have fetch lands to fill the bin, like tons of ways
hmm
to fill the lair. Like from this standpoint, it's gonna be exciting. Especially because like you got brainstorm legal, you got fetch lands legal. Like Grixis and
Oh
Legacy
yeah.
is pretty good because affects lands and Brainstorm. That's the thing in Timeless on the 12th.
Yeah, it is. Yep. Yeah, get those brainstorms ready to respond to your opponent's Thoughtseize. Oh, I've
That's
always
it.
wanted to do that. Tuck the things away on top of my deck. I haven't played in Legacy, so I haven't had the opportunity to. But that's beautiful tech. I love it. Yeah.
Soon you'll be able to, and soon we're going to see some more degenerate things. Suffice
Absolutely.
to say, you remember the days of Goblin Charbelcher in Historic?
Indeed.
That gets so much easier. We have Dark Ritual, right?
Yeah.
You can turn one combo kill someone with Goblin Charbelcher in Timeless.
Wait a minute. So if you Dark Ritual,
So
wait, how? So
you have to have a few rituals lined in. So it has to be a ritual
okay.
focused deck. You're gonna run the modal lands, but you do also have to have like a few other things that kind of like you have to build up mana. So you have to play some rituals in a few of the lands, but there will be a way from the ritual effects to turn one
Huh.
combo kill someone.
Sure. That's amazing. I'm trying to think of a way to get into Ironcrag Feet. Now the problem with Ironcrag Feet, it costs 4, but 3 of them are red.
Yep.
So Dark Ritual into Ironcrag Feet is going to be really tricky. So you need to find some way to filter that.
You don't even need to
Hmm.
do that though. You can just like I think we have some other rituals. I don't
Yeah.
even think you need Ironcrag feet. But actually, here's a question: is Dread Return on Arena right now? I haven't checked.
Red
You know,
Return? I don't think so, but I could be wrong.
because if that's on Arena, things get really disgusting.
Yeah,
Because like
they look it.
I'll get us back
Yeah.
on subject for a second. This is just like a
Yeah,
really
yeah.
fun deck idea for Timeless. There exists in the Goblin Charbiter shell a oops all spells deck. There are no lands, not even modal lands. How the deck works is you get up to mana with like Dark Ritual and stuff, and you Undercity Informer or Ballast Druid Spy yourself. It flips in 3 Narcomoebas from the deck. You
Love it.
sacrifice them to flashback the Dread Return. Have an Angel of Glory's Rise, and then that brings back an Ayazami and Laboratory Maniac, or Thassa's Oracle in this case. Um, and then you just win.
That's just
And most of that's
GG's.
going to be legal and timeless
That's amazing. Yeah, it doesn't look like Dread Return's on the client right now, but
soon.
someday perhaps. I know, right? Well, if you're milling your entire deck, if you're already milling your entire deck out, obviously, yeah, we have Thassa's Oracle. We have Narcomoebas. There's Creeping Chill. Maybe it involves
Yeah,
those somehow. I don't know. Let's get saucy. What are some options? I'm sure there's
yeah.
something.
Like
Yeah,
you
maybe
can
you
do
can you
things.
reanimate? Can you somehow like get Conrad out and then Bajuka Bog yourself or something? I don't know. There's got to be a way. We're gonna figure it out.
Yeah, there's something. But
We'll
like
figure it out.
those
Somebody's gonna
crazy
figure it out.
shenanigans,
I know that. Yeah.
oh, huge. Like, but those crazy shenanigans, that's what's gonna make timeless so interesting and
Hmm.
exciting.
Oh yeah. No, it's gonna be a lot of fun to see. Yeah, I'm very curious what people are gonna be doing with it. I also think certain cards. There are a couple of cards out there that allow us. It's funny that as you were kind of describing that, um, I realized one card that I've been tinkering with a little bit in standard right now that I think might be like sleeper powerful in timeless is founding the third path. So that's a
Oh,
card where if you're doing any kind of graveyard shenanigans, we have access to blood gas, we have access to the prized
mhm.
amalgam, those kinds of things. Founding the third path can give you access to any kind of 2 mana spell right out the gate. So for 2 mana, you could hit any number of incredibly busted, super powerful things. Mill yourself for 4 if you can get value out of that in one way or another, and then free, effectively, well, not free cast, but you basically flash back one thing out of your graveyard. So it's kind of like it's kind of Snapcaster Mage, which is also going to be legal in timeless.
That's right.
But just putting that out there. Um, so I don't know, some kind of graveyard centric, cheap recursion shenanigans. The possibilities are there. Possibilities are definitely there. Some kind of is it shell. Maybe you have Dragon Rage Channeler and Founding. I don't know. I might have to tinker with that. But honestly, it's funny. When I first heard about this format, my immediate thought was, I'm glad that this exists. I probably will barely ever play it. But now that we're talking about it and really kind of looking at individual cards, now all of a sudden I'm kind of, I don't know, I'm intrigued. I'm definitely looking forward to giving it a shot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I'm in the same. Like I really don't think timeless will become my main format. And that's
Hmm.
and that's just my place of where I happen to be. Like I love what it's about and I love to tinker in. But it existing with some really fun and unique ways to really bring cool decks that we just never see on Arena to life. That's going to be super awesome to see. And I'm glad this exists. This isn't like where it's something introduced that no one really asked for. I don't, people have kind of asked for this in a weird roundabout way. And it also, what I love, incentivizes other players from different formats of Magic, right? Like, not maybe not so much the Commander community because Brawl and Commander are kind of those are the cinch offs there. But as an Eternal format, I mean, originally Arena just had Historic and Explorer, and Historic's kind of been on its own. But now you're looking at true to paper copies mixed in with Alchemy, and a lot of people that play an Eternal format might be interested in trying this new Eternal way to play. So it
Yeah.
could mean more people on the Arena client, which would be kind of sweet.
100%, dude. I'm right there with you. And it also, my hope is that in addition to bringing Timeless out, I'm hoping in the next few months they bring back some like retro drafts with some of these,
Yeah.
like especially Strixhaven, because that
That
one
would
has
be
the
sick.
Mystical Archive, and those like Mystical Archive was riddled with incredibly powerful cards that were some of the best that we've ever seen in the entire game. And like if I draft a lightning bolt or I draft a counterspell, great. I had this really cool thing for this one draft. And then it's gonna go nowhere. And then there's nothing I can do with it afterwards. Same was true with Channel, although it's funny because Channel actually was really terrible in that format.
Yeah, it
So
was just
Channel, it was like I would draft it sometimes just because like, well, that's a mythic. I'm not gonna open it in a pack, I guess. Like it was, but like what can I do with it, right? You can never use it. So I'm glad that there's going to be some place where those kinds of cards can exist. I mean, all of a sudden, people have a reason to craft. Well, like Ragavan is another great example
yeah.
in March of the Machine. Like they printed Ragavan, but before it was released, and same with Blood Moon, I suppose, in WoW, like they just preemptively banned it in Historic. So it's like, if you like Brawl, go nuts, I guess. It's like, well, all right, neat, but then what?
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, and so I'm glad that they're finally kind of doing something about that and giving these cards a place to live. And also, just from Wizards' perspective, it kind of makes a lot of sense, right? Because you've done the work of putting all these cards onto the client. Give people a reason to want them. Give people a reason to craft them. Give people a reason to buy those packs again and go chasing these cards because we now have a way to use them. I think that's huge, and I think it's gonna, you know, yeah, it's gonna be great. Yeah, but like I'm saying, I hope they do retro drafts with some of these older clients or some of these older formats that include these bonus sheets. I want to see that. I want to see these cards coming back into people's rotation and back into people's awareness alongside this format. Oh, and
Would be.
also speaking of, so this whole podcast, we're talking about a news article and a topic that is easy to overlook. What's releasing the exact same day that a lot of people I think probably forgot about?
Well, yeah, a set.
There's a
That's
whole set coming to Arena, just dropping
yeah. We
on
have
Tuesday.
Khans of Tarkir remastered, right? That's what it was.
You said one too many words there. It's
Was
Khans of Tarkir.
oh, it's not even remastered. It's just Khans of
They're not
Tarkir.
remastering it. It's just the whole thing. Boom. Just they're dropping the entire format on us. Yeah,
Like
all of Khans of Tarkir will be hitting Arena
Fate
on
Reforged,
Tuesday,
all
December
that.
12th. I don't think Fate Reforged is going to be there. I think it's just Khans
Just
for
Khans.
now.
Okay.
But it's the entire set of Khans, which I believe is going to be draftable like right away.
Yeah,
Like I
yeah,
believe that's
I
going to
heard.
be, they're going to open that draft up, like, and then as a result, all the fetch lands and all kinds of other just goodies from that set are going to be live on the client.
Five
Well,
of
five
the
of the fetch
fetch
lands.
lands.
The
Yeah,
five fetch lands from
the
Khans. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
five that matter.
I mean,
I'm kidding. Scalding Tarn's not among this. I'm kidding. But no, that's true though. Like in everything
yeah.
to overlook, like Tuesday is going to be a big day. New cards, new format, new thing, and honestly, I think it's going to be a really great way to re-incentivize people back on Arena and actually giving Arena its own identity. Because I don't want
Yes.
to say that there are different players between paper players and digital players and talking digital like I play an Arena while I play on MTGO kind of stuff, but not trying to separate into separate camps. But this will give Arena its identity in an extra way. It's saying there's an extra way you can play online using the cards you have in your collection on Arena in a more vast dynamic, and it gives a more comparable experience between playing on MTGO and playing on Arena. well, hey, I did this cool combo in Arena that's replicatable in MTGO and potentially viable in some of those circumstances. I
Yeah.
think it brings that border kind of closer, right? Gives me, hey,
Oh
I
heck
get to
yeah.
play a really cool thing on Arena. I'm an eternal Arena player, is something someone could say. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, and that was never an option before. Like when Arena first came out, it felt very much like a standard simulator, which is fine if you like standard. But if you liked Magic but didn't like standard, well, then what?
Yeah.
And over time, these eternal formats. We have Explorer, we have Historic, Alchemy exists. I don't know what to make of that, but in any event,
It
like
exists.
it exists. Anyway, these other formats have popped up to kind of expand out onto to make Arena more meaningful, more robust, and closer to the paper game. And as time goes on, and as the cards that we see a lot in paper, in older formats, all of a sudden more and more of those are on the client. We're seeing it more true to form, and I love the fact that we are now going to have a format that feels like an eternal format on the client. I think that's ultimately what it is. I mean, we got a long way to go before we have Vintage or Legacy on the client, but we're going to be playing something that kind of feels like them here pretty
Yeah.
soon, and that's exciting. Yeah.
It's a really nice step in the direction. It kind of makes I want to pose this question to you. So I in that feeling of vintage-esque or legacy-esque in embracing that ideology, trying timeless. While the card pool that is being brought in is great from cons and what we have available is amazing, what are 3 cards you would want to see introduced? And they could be like, we could pitch this as like the timeless anthology idea, but
Yeah.
3 cards that could balance timeless to make it a whole better experience than what it already will be. So I don't think it'll be bad, but
Oh.
I do think it needs a little something.
Okay.
So what
Okay.
would be your little
Yeah.
something?
Oh, it's yeah. If we were to just add a little pinch of a little bit of seasoning onto what
Exactly.
we got going on, honestly, I feel like they have a lot of the pieces that I'm excited for. As someone who's never played Legacy or Vintage, it's tough for me to know exactly what's gonna. There's a lot of interaction, a lot of stuff out in those formats that I just don't know. A couple that I would love to see though, that I mean, and I'm not gonna surprise if anybody out there has watched like I don't know 20 minutes of my content, you're not going to be surprised to hear me say that I would love to see reanimate or animate dead or exhume on the client.
Please.
Um, I would love to see those. Same regard, entomb.
Yeah.
I feel like entomb, the dark ritual entomb exhume. I want to be able to do that in timeless, and right now there's no real way to do that. We don't have um anything like that. Heck, I want to see Buried Alive on the client. I know it's not going to be timeless playable. I'm just saying that card's great.
Oh yeah,
And
card is
I
good.
want it. Yeah, it's just good card. Makes me happy. Can we please have that, please? That's all. But yeah, any of those like cheap reanimation spells and entomb. That's what I want to see. I think that's where things really, some rubber can meet the road in some really cool ways with those. We're gonna be able to do like Stitcher Supply or Unearth. I don't know. There might be there might be something there, but it's not quite the same. So I don't know. I'm excited for that. Or that's what I would like to see. And then, I mean, the one obvious absolute layup that I think every single human being is going to say that I did mention even earlier, Force of Will. Force of Will not being on in Timeless is going to be like one of the biggest things that, you know. And by the way, too, but when with Exhume and Reanimate specifically, um, there when they did Jumpstart, the very first Jumpstart edition, in paper there was a Reanimate package that you could open that included Exhume.
Mhm.
I know Exhume was in there, and I think Reanimate was in there too. And when they
I think you're right.
mapped and made Jumpstart Historic Horizons, which is a set that I think a lot of people have forgotten about, but when that got mapped and brought into Arena, they didn't even bother coding those reanimation cards because there was just like, nope, this is too busted. Nobody's ever gonna like these are this isn't okay. And I was over here like, you're not gonna give me one mana reanimate on Arena? Ugh, come on, come on, Wizards, just do
By
it.
heart.
I know. Like, I suppose the other one is Archive of Cruelty from Modern Horizons. Like, if that
Yeah.
was to show up, that'd be insane. But anyway, we have reanimator targets. We'll make it work. But yeah, how
I
about you,
mean,
man? What are the ones that you'd love to see?
I mean, you named the first one Force of Will, and I think that's just a given
Yeah,
with the community, so I'm not going to
I
bother
think
there. But
everybody.
like,
Yeah, yeah.
I've said this for a few days because I've been asked like you, are you going to play Thomas? And I'm like, I will play a little bit, but what'll
Mm-hmm.
make me a timeless player is if they put Dark Depths on Arena so I can play Turbo Depths. If I can play Turbo Depths, I will become a timeless main. I will drop standard content. I will rebrand it to timeless as fast as anything. But I need crop rotation for that because that's also on Arena. But you give me that and I'm set. Let me
Yes.
make my Merit Lodge in like turn 1, get my 2020 because we don't have Caracas. Caracas does not exist in Arena. I don't have to worry about my legendary 2020 token being bounced because it's flying indestructible but doesn't have X.
All of a sudden, people are main decking Fading Hope to try to deal with this thing. Yeah, good luck, everybody. Yeah.
That's why people play Caracas. And it's just,
Yep.
it works. It's great. But no, I would love to see Dark Depths. I'd love to see crop rotation and Ancient Tomb. Ancient
Yes.
Tomb helps to
There we go.
enable a lot, and I think that's the right kind of mana to excel, especially in 2 mana, 2 life kind of thing. But it lets decks get Chalice of the Void on 1, it lets Blood Moon get out on turn 2. It sets things up very nicely, and that's the speed that the format can handle. So I'd love to see Ancient Tomb. Also, that helps for Brawl because that's great in Brawl, and everyone can have a $100 card for
Yeah.
free.
Let's go. Yeah. Yeah. Well, but say, I just realized. Oh, wait a minute. Just kidding. I just had a moment of like, wait a minute. They just reprinted Mana Crypt, and then I realized, no, it didn't make its way into Arena. So just kidding. Never mind. I know, right? Could you imagine?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so close. And yet so far. That's a
Silly
copyright
promos.
song we're not gonna
Yeah,
sing.
we're gonna be done right now. Yeah. Because in the end, it didn't even matter. Anyway,
It
no.
really did.
See, the
Oh yeah,
line is doesn't really matter, so we can get away with it.
we're fine. We're fine. See, the
Yeah.
landlords know
Listen.
about loopholes.
Yep. That's what's up. All right.
I'd be curious
Good
to the
stuff.
community though. Like
Yeah, absolutely.
what 3 cards you, our dear listeners or dear viewers, would you want Timeless to introduce? What do you think is the extra spice that the format needs? And if you say Force of Will, that doesn't count. Please pick another answer because we already said it.
Yes, we know. Yeah. Yes, we all know. But yeah, please leave those in the comments below. We would really appreciate that. Yeah. So rock on. Well, I don't know, was there anything else that we wanted to cover or
No, I think that
yeah.
was it. I mean, Ham, if you want to tell the fine people where they can find you.
Absolutely. So you can find me over on Twitch, twitch.tv/Hamhocks42. I'm also I'm over on Twitters as well, and I'm dabbling in Instagram. We'll figure that out as time goes on. But in any event, yeah, you can catch me on all the places. Hamhocks42, just Google that, you'll find me. I put the awkward number in there to make it nice and easy for you. So yeah. And Astros, how about you, man? Where can people find you out there?
Yeah, everyone, you can find me at Twitch, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at Astralsflame. I'm either jamming Jund and or Dragons, and that's Dragons with an S between the brackets and the end, because if I'm not playing a lot, I'm at least playing one. But yeah, it's been an absolute blast, and this has been another episode of The Landlord. So hey, you want to keep up to date on The Landlords, why not drop us a follow, keep up to date on that action, stay up to date on our next listing. And until everyone, we'll catch you next time. We are your Landlords.